Okay, so my name is Nick Rodriguez, and I am the Dean of Creative Technology at BIM University, where you are all students, if you didn't know. So, introduce yourselves as you go, starting with yourself.
Hi, I'm Megan, and I'm studying event management and music performance.
Hi, I'm Amar. I'm studying filmmaking.
Hi, I'm Kat, and I'm studying hair and makeup for film.
I'm Max, and I'm studying music production and popular music performance.
Hi, I'm Levi, and I'm studying filmmaking.
Great, so we have actually got quite a nice spread of students from different departments and different faculties at university. And the reason that we've come together today is to talk about something that I imagine you've all heard of, maybe not interacted with, which is this word AI, right? So everyone's been bandying it around. We can see here from this article here that you know this is even a kind of a year old, really. You know, the notion of AI is front and center of a lot of people's minds, particularly in the creative industry. So I'm going to start with a question, which is, have you ever used any generative AI, and what have you used it for? Starting with yourself at the top there.
I actually haven't used
Great,
it at
even
all.
better. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I have used ChatGPT to write some text drafts and
To write some essays, yeah?
yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say write essays, but draft essays.
Okay, cool, you draft essays, fine.
And I used DeepMind to create some imagery.
Okay, fine, you've been using DeepMind. Great, how about yourself?
ChatGPT.
Just a bit of ChatGPT.
I've used ChatGPT fairly extensively just to sort of like bounce ideas off of and formulate stuff.
And how about yourself?
I've used ChatGPT if I can't think of a word.
Great. So, I've done this sort of workshop a few times, and actually one of the really cool things that you find is you find out that people use it for things that you had not even considered. So the last time we did this, one of the really interesting things was 2 people in the audience told me that they used it to figure out what to do when they went on holiday. And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah. And they were independent of each other. And one was like, yeah, what I do is I go, they were both, they were like, I'm going to Berlin next week. I like Hoxton in London. What's the similar area in Berlin? And ChatGPT would give them an itinerary of stuff to do. Right? Or I like, the seaside. So they were using it to plan their trips. And I was like, yeah, that totally blew my mind because I hadn't even considered it would do that. But it obviously is quite good at doing that. So we've used a bit of GPT, a little bit of DeepMind for some strange dreaming stuff, right? But we've used GPT to the kinds of things we're using it for. You use it if you can't think of a word.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So you're like, it's a word like this, but it's not that word.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I like just Googling synonym for doesn't work.
Right. That's again. I hadn't sort of considered that. Cryptic crosswords just came to mind. It's an easy way of doing that. How about yourself?
I've used it to sort of like reverse engineer and deconstruct a brief before.
Oh, very cool.
So if you've got like a project that you're working on, and you essentially feed it in all the information you want, then it can give you like a framework of where to go and what points you need to hit in order to be able to achieve your target.
That's brilliant. So you've actually used it to help your college work, right?
Yeah.
You've used it to deconstruct a brief, give you the points to hit in terms of like the marking of that brief.
Yeah, and so you can do that by implementing your own specifics. So if, for example, you obviously have the brief and what that requires from you, but then on top of that, you can incorporate what you're looking to do specifically for your topic or your sort of pathway.
So it's a really powerful thing, right? That suddenly you can sort of, get in quite, easy language to understand a structure for an essay that's going to answer that brief. Yeah. Absolutely. And we were talking before about can you imagine if somebody had marked your work in that way? And how would you feel about that? How would you feel knowing that, say, a lecturer was going to mark your work using AI, applying the rubric, the marking rubric, to your essay using AI? How would you feel about that?
I'm okay with that.
You're okay. You're okay with that, yeah? Okay, cool. Why are you okay with that? What's the?
If it makes it easier for them and it's marked correctly, then.
Great.
If it's done, it's done.
Yeah, if it's done, it's done. If it's marked correctly, that's really... Yeah, and actually, interestingly, it might be... I'm not impugning my colleagues, but, it might actually be marked more accurately or more consistently, and that might be quite interesting. So we've sort of found a use case where I mean, are we all in agreement on that? Do we all feel that way about having maybe, because like I'm going to use this evidence to justify all my marketing being done by AI now. So that's really interesting. So we found a use case that's like, okay, we're cool with that. We're cool with that. Has anybody come across a use case they're not cool with? Has anybody come across sort of AI being used for stuff that they're not cool with?
There's this painting that Keith Haring did. It was his last one.
Yep.
It's not finished.
Right.
And it was meant to be not finished, and someone used AI to complete the painting, and it just really bothered me.
Fine. So there's actually something, you've hit upon something quite interesting there, haven't you, about a piece of work made and then that piece of work being manipulated using AI to I mean, there's some interesting examples of that. Anybody else think of other examples in that sort of area?
I mean, a lot of people are complaining about stolen art because AI kind of just takes bits of people's art and just kind of yeah.
Okay, so we've got this.
From that, but yeah.
Yeah, so we've got this moral problem that actually we've entrained these AIs using stuff that isn't necessarily owned by the people that trained it.
Yeah.
I mean, the recent Beatles song, like the last ever Beatles song, that existed before as a load of slightly shonky recordings, and they've been put together and turned into something. And there seems to be quite a visceral reaction against AI art, particularly like generated art. Do you think that's true?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel as strongly about that as well?
Yeah.
How so?
I mean, this is my career. I want to go in the creative industries, and a lot of people, at least in my family, would be like, "Oh, what are you going to do? You're going to have no degree because AI is going to take over."
Right.
But I think a lot of people will want that authentic work that's made by real people.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Brilliant. Got an amazing point. So so there's a lot of fear out there. People telling their prospective students not to study particular topics because they're like, well, AI's going to do that. Don't become a songwriter because nobody's ever going to write a song again. It's all going to be AI. And that's kind of interesting, but I don't know if it's necessarily true. But certainly, it does place a lot of value on authenticity. Do you think that's true?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm a games developer. I've been a games developer for about 30 years, and so AI, to me, has always been part and parcel of what I did as a games developer. So we always had this notion of AI being a useful thing in games development, right? So it's not that shocking. I mean, the speed at which it's happened is quite interesting, but we've always used AI, machine learning, in games, right? Because we've always sort of had things in a game that do things that the player's not doing. Did that make sense? That makes sense. So, for instance, you might have somebody trying to creep round you, or you might have a car racing ahead of you, and all that sort of stuff. And all that pathfinding has been early machine learning. It's been used in games for a long time. We also have this notion of procedurally generated content, where you can sort of take little bits of, say, a room. So I could build like some windows and some chairs and some doors, and I could create a procedural program that would make me rooms, just as many random rooms as I wanted. So that sort of notion has been sort of pretty prevalent in games for a long time. But it hasn't. The impact that AI has had over the last few years, year or so, is hitting everyone. So what I wanted to do today was talk about process, was talk about how to integrate AI into your creative practice. And there's a lot of fear around it, but I wanted to talk about how I have integrated it into mine, how the industry, the creative industries that I understand and am sort of in contact with, have started to use it. I haven't prepared this in the slightest. I made no preparations for this, because what I wanted to do was use AI to prepare my talk. Right? So in the strictest sense, I've made no preparations. So in the first instance, we're going to use ChatGPT-4, which you have used, some of you have used, right? And this is the first of the two kinds of AI that we're going to use today, and it's a large language model, right? This is the kind of AI it is. So it's generative AI, it's going to create something for us, but it is a large language model. It uses, I won't go into the complexities of how it does that through its neural network and so on, but it's just to know that this is a large language model. So I want to do a talk about the use of AI in the creative industries. So hopefully I'll come on. Let's give it a sec. Okay. Here we go. So, overview of AI in the creative industries. Begin by introducing what AI is. They've done that, great. And how it's being integrated into various creative fields like music, visual arts, film, and design. Have a little bit about a conversation about that. It's almost as if I've done this before. Discuss the advances into AI technology. Right. Generative art, design applications, AI in music, performance art. So there's a lot of stuff here that we could talk about. But what I want to do today is I want to... what else have we got? AI in literature, AI writers. Would you read an AI novel? Have you read an AI novel? There's a few about. They're bad.
I've had AI fanfics.
Love it. What kind of fanfic was it?
Oh, I'm trying to remember what it was. It was a really obscure one. I think.
Oh, really?
I think it had Jedward in it.
Wow, mate, that's pretty obscure. Yeah, I was thinking more like, Sam and Dean Winchester from Supernatural.
I mean, that would make
Supernatural,
sense.
yeah, Supernatural vibes, right? That sort of thing. Or Castiel, and anyway. There's enough about my fanfic. So there's that author, case studies and examples. So they're great. We've got a structure, and we've been adhering to that structure. So that's good to know. So sometimes we can use AI to formulate our thinking, like you've been doing, and sometimes we can straight out ask for some creative activity. So what I've been doing is what I'm going to try and do today. Actually, in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to try and design a game with you. Try and design a game, and we're only going to use GPT-4, and we're going to use Midjourney as well in a minute. It's a different kind of AI to do that. We're going to see how far we get, right? So, who's a gamer here? Hey, everyone's a gamer. Except you. Do you play any games? Wordle? No, fine. That's totally fine. Okay, what games are you playing?
Well, I play Dungeons and Dragons.
Brilliant. There we go.
But I play mostly like RPGs and story-based games like Amori, Undertale.
Okay. So right. Okay. Nice. Right. How about yourself?
Yeah, I also play a variety of games, mostly MMORPGs
MMOs,
and
right, okay.
some survival games like Terraria.
Okay. Great. Okay. How about yourself?
I'm more like a cozy gamer.
Cozy
like,
gamer.
I just like Minecraft and like Stardew Valley.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. How about you?
I like open world games, so things like Just Cause and GTA. And
Right, okay. So, I think-
also like racing games, so like Gran Turismo 7.
All right. Okay. So, like immersive sims is the
like,
word that
with,
people
like,
have started
wheels
using
and stuff
suddenly
like that, yeah.
about that kind of game, which I've never.
Also truck sim. That's good.
Truck sim.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Right,
I'm
right?
totally with you. Yeah, totally with you on the truck sims. Yeah, totally. All right, so let's agree that we're going to design a kind of game, right? I quite like the notion that we're going to design a cozy game, actually. So I think we're going to go with cozy game. Otherwise, we'll just end up it'll just be zombies as far as the eye can see. So it's a cozy game. What's the setting for our cozy game? Does anybody want to come up with a sort of rough notion of where our cozy game will be set?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh no.
Okay, so what will we be doing in Nashville, Tennessee? There's an obvious thing we'll be doing in Nashville, Tennessee, I think, in our cozy game.
It has to be relaxing. So
Yeah, it's going to be relaxing. But what would you do in Nashville? Try and become Taylor Swift, right? I mean, that's what happens in Nashville, right? Nashville, Tennessee, home of country and western, the two kinds of music. So, okay, design a cozy game set in Nashville with a music theme. We're going to go with a music theme?
Yeah.
Yeah, with a music theme. Creating a cozy game set in Nashville, focus on the journey of becoming a country or western star, presents an exciting opportunity to play music, storytelling, and interactive gameplay. Well, that's why we started, right? That's why we did it. Nashville Dreams, Rise of a Star. Don't know about that. Nashville Dreams, Rise of a Star is a cozy, narrative-driven game set in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee, known as the birthplace of country music. I like where we're going with this. The player starts as an aspiring musician, trying to make it big in the country western scene. Combines elements of simulation. Well, it's going crazy. It's loving it. We've got so the setting is the Nashville cityscape. Okay, very nice. Local bars and venues, and your apartment, customizable. Music creation, performance, networking. Okay, it's giving us some ideas here about things we could do. We could share. Do we want to make music in this game? Does that feel cozy? Feels quite stressful.
I feel like it might be more of like a covers thing. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I don't know, like, wouldn't they start off with covers to get, like...
Oh, I see what you
popularity?
mean.
And then maybe, like, it's a case of maybe they do have their own songs for the game, but I don't know if you'd write them.
Yeah. Do you reckon they just sort of
More like The Sims.
Yeah.
songs
Yeah,
already
yeah,
made?
exactly,
like,
yeah.
Try and find your bandmate.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right. So it's sort of like Stardew Valley, right? It's that sort of thing whereby you're just puttering about. Oh yeah, here's a bass player. Oh, here's a, you know. Oh look, you can be my friend. Let's form a band. Okay, right. So it's like Stardew Valley, but with music and pop songs and country and western songs. I guess that means we need to think of an art style. What kind of art style are we going for? Okay, 3D or 2D? What is it?
I think
2D.
3D.
Ah, well, you're outvoted. Okay, go for it. Tell me why. Tell me why.
I don't know. It just seems
Yeah, okay.
better suited than
All right,
3D
okay. Fine.
for me.
But cozy games tend to be 2D, right?
I mean, there are some.
There are some. Yeah, okay, there are. Yeah, there's always exceptions, right? But okay, I mean, we can start experimenting, right? So let's have a look at this chord. So this is a different kind of AI that we're going to start interacting with now, and this is known. If we go back to our Techscape 7 AI acronyms, I'll do that later. So if we go back to this, we can see that we've got a large language model, and we've got another one now, which is a GAN, which is a generative adversarial network, which sounds quite exciting and slightly scary and something out of Star Wars. But it's basically, a GAN is it's an adversarial network, which kind of means that there are actually two AIs doing this. There's one that's sort of categorizing images and one that's sort of using those categories to generate images, right? So it's kind of a team effort, right? And one of the ones that I've used a fair amount is Midjourney. Anybody touched or used Midjourney before? You used a bit of Midjourney.
Yeah,
Okay.
but tried it a few years ago.
Okay, so Midjourney is going to create images for us, right? It's going to create any image we want. And the way that we interact with it is through Discord, which I'm assuming you've all used before, you know what Discord is. And the way we do that is through a Midjourney bot. We've got a bot that we can ask questions. We can ask it to do stuff. And we're going to ask it with a prompt. We've used prompts before, and a prompt is simply a sentence that we give to an AI to generate content, right? They're a bit more sophisticated with Midjourney. Actually, we start delving into something called prompt craft. So this is actually the way that we craft our prompts. And this is actually going to be one of those skills that you as young people are going to have to sort of contend with, you know, going into the future. You know, it's going to be one of those things where building good prompts is actually going to be quite a sort of sophisticated thing. So in this sense, we've got a backslash, which is quite old school. Imagine, we're going to use this phrase, imagine is the command, and it's going to ask us for a prompt. So we are 2D cozy game set in Nashville. Or if I could spell, that would be good, wouldn't it? Nashville about music. So that's about as broad as we could go with, right? I think we want it to be pixel art, right? We want pixel art or more. Should we go pixel art? Let's go with pixel art for now, and then we can decide pixel art. Right. So let's wait a little while. It's going to give us it's going to create 4 images for us, quite roughly, relatively quickly. And then we're going to be able to manipulate those images in a number of different ways. We're actually going to be able to start honing in on some of the images that we want to use. Here we go. Right. Aren't they cute? Aren't they cute? Now, actually, we've got a bit of a sort of 2D vibe as well. We've got a 3D vibe as well, but in a pixel art sort of style. I'm going to leave this to you. What style do we like the most?
I like the left ones the most.
You like the flatter ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like for a game that you're walking through, but in a 2D world, that sort of straight head-on works better anyway.
The ones on the left-hand side?
Yeah.
Which one particularly do we like? The richer one or the sort of slightly...
I don't know, I kind of like the top one.
Okay.
But the wooden...
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to upscale that. First thing I'm going to do is upscale it, right? So we can actually see it much larger. Okay, so we've got some parallax there. We've got some sort of layers. That's quite nice. The colour, do we like the palette? I'm loving the palette.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a thing that we've just we didn't ask it to do that. It generated a load of things. It picked this very, very, it picked a palette, didn't it? Kind of out of nowhere. These lovely sort of tealy blues and the sunset oranges, and snow for some reason. Does it snow in Nashville? I'm guessing it must do. Don't know. We'd have to probably do a bit of research because, like, we don't sit in Nashville and like everyone's like, it never snows in Nashville. That could, well, maybe that could be our thing. Maybe the one time it snowed in Nashville. I don't know. It probably does snow. But okay, which one do we like? We liked this one, so we can actually get some variants on that, right? We can actually go, okay, take that image, and why don't you riff on it? Yeah, take an image and start riffing on that image for me. And it'll take a little while. We can.
Can you give it specific prompts?
Yeah, you totally can.
Okay.
Yeah, you totally can. So we could actually feed the image back in to it and ask it to merge some images as well.
Okay, yeah.
So actually, what we can do is we can take the links and then we can feed them in. And actually, we can vary by region. We can subtly vary. We can vary very strongly. We can actually start to really build quite meaningful, sort of content by this. Now, I thought so. This, to my mind, this is where this stuff really excels, is in the ideation phase. Like, I would never want to present any of this stuff as finished article, right? And we've all seen how that sort of ended up when people have presented this as finished article. It's kind of gone quite badly, I think. Generally, people are not happy to be fed AI-created images as final product. I think we've seen that. I think Dungeons and Dragons player, you'll know that the recent release of a product which had an AI piece on the front cover, right?
So did Wacom bamboo tablets for Lunar New Year. I think
Right.
it was. They had a dragon and then its arm was like merged.
At least fix it.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot. Yeah. There's instances of that, and actually quite a lot of big publishing companies, particularly in the games industry, seems to be the games industry reacts very poorly to this, where people have used AI in games products, and actually people have really reacted very poorly. Any examples in anywhere else? People know where that's.
I know that book covers I've been getting a little bit of.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah. So like the hands are a bit weird on the cover, or there's like a building, but it doesn't match up to the windows. And
Yeah, it does a lot of that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
There's a museum in London for Hello Kitty, and it's been filled with AI art.
Really? Okay. What, on purpose or just kind of trying to?
I think they've tried to put it off as like, no, this is original art, but it's
almost
not.
AI,
You can tell
yeah.
it's AI.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain artifacts that you can sort of tell. I mean, obviously, we've got some really weird spellings. We've got some very peculiar spellings here for some reason. But we're getting a lot. Let's have a look at our. So it's cooked now. You can tell, like, this is all nonsense here, right? All the text is nonsense and so on. I mean, I'm assuming this will get better. But these are really lovely, actually. I love the way that we're starting to really develop.
Bottom left.
Bottom left, we liking this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's upscale that one. So that's number 3. It goes 1, 2, 3. So we can upscale 3. So that'll happen quite quickly. And we can do. I love. That's really nice. The way it's a little music shop.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute. I want to make this game. I want to make this game. So you work in the music.
Yeah.
You've got a washing machine outside for some. I think that might be
I think it's
aircon. It's an air conditioning unit. I don't know what that is. That looks like that could be another one or I don't know whatever. You do get weird artifacts. It's a bit. I mean, it's kind of.
It's like the suitcases.
Yeah, there's a kind of weird,
Characters just
like
go
slightly down at heel vibe to this, right? It's kind of maybe those zombies have the zombies that have emerged. Maybe this is like Zombie Nashville. You're gonna get Zombie Kenny Rogers shirt and that zombie Dolly. But there's a certain melancholy to this already, isn't there? So there's a mood already being created that I quite like. So this is where I think it works really well. Is you start. I hadn't thought about colour. I hadn't thought about shape language. I hadn't thought about the sort of aesthetic choices I was going to make about my product or my project. But this is starting to inform it. Now I can either go with it or react quite strongly against it. Now I'm sort of thinking, or maybe, maybe I actually want to vary this very strongly. Maybe I want to sort of react against it in quite a strong way, and not necessarily sort of, go with that flow, because it's taking me down a path, isn't it? You can see how it's leading me down a path. Now it might be that we've got to be quite conscious of what's happening here, haven't we? Because it might be there's already an existing products that, the reason that we're getting really positive results is because we're actually perhaps tying into something already pre-existing. So to my mind, it makes us want to research, right? It makes us want to go, okay, we're going to have to make sure that this is legit. And nor would we ever want to use any of this stuff as actual product, as actual sort of pixel art in our game. The temptation would be there, right?
Yeah.
Because it's actually it's fairly high quality. I mean, look at this. The car's really lovely, and the building's really nice. We could paint over, we could trace over, we could use the shapes. Here's our strong variation of our cozy game. It's starting to simplify, which is really interesting. Look at that. It's actually starting to. It's much more refined, isn't it?
And it's moving?
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's adding more detail in. It's adding a lot more detail in there. Look, to the background. So that's actually really pretty, isn't it? So I'm going to upscale that one. I really like that. Upscale 2.
Would we be able to ask it to do that scene, but at daytime?
Yeah, so we could do that. We could take this link and we could use a different command actually. So we could blend some images. So we could find an image of Nash. So we could go, I don't know, we could go imagine. Let's say imagine. Click on the prompt. Nashville 2D pixel art in the blazing sun. Something like that, and it would start generating those images, and we could actually blend the two. So we could take two images and blend them together. Or I could have just gone out and found an image, or taken a picture of an image, started to blend them together, which we will do once that's baked. Okay, so we've got more information. So it started really sparking some ideas. We can go back to GPT maybe. And go, well, my game is set in a down at heel music shop. Well, what sort of things might I do? So it's remembered that our game is set in Nashville. It's giving us a bit of backstory. Giving us a little bit. I mean, it's fairly it's not exactly giving us stuff that is massively innovative, but it's starting to frame something. But actually, regular customers, I hadn't thought of that. That's a nice notion. Because the way that cozy games have your regular sort of people that you meet and you go and chat to them, regular customers come in. Maybe you actually have to string guitars, or maybe the coziness comes from those interactions, and maybe everyone knows you're a great singer, but you don't want to be that great singer. I don't know. There's a notion there. Reputation, because it's trying to frame it in a way that's kind of quite traditional, like you're going to become a star and you're going to go up through the ranks. But actually, I'm starting to think maybe that's not the way to do it. So I'm sort of reacting against what it's suggesting. It's suggesting a fairly linear sort of process, like become Taylor Swift, which fair enough. But why not actually be? No, I'm much more about building a community of my musicians, and we want to build communities together, and maybe I can share my music shop. Maybe I get to build my music shop, and maybe my music shop's full of brass instruments. Maybe I make trumpets, and maybe you don't make trumpets. Maybe you make clarinets. Yeah. So maybe there's a thing there. So that's nice. Love this. Celebrity visit, occasional visits from real or fictional music stars. Man, if Taylor Swift came to your shop, that'd be amazing. Actually, and that did happen. So the last presidential election, so the Biden campaign had an island on Animal Crossing, to get to the kids, I guess, in that sense. So imagine that you get, Biden came to your island. So we could do that. Taylor comes, or Dolly. I mean, Dolly would be better from my perspective. Yeah. Way better. But that's nice. So again, we've got some ideas that we can start scratching out. So we need a theme song. Okay, so we need a theme song. Can we have a theme song? Can it write us? Can it write? It's going to be terrible, but it's going to write us. Here we go. Dreams on Music Row. Okay, this is the name of the song. In a little shop on the corner of dreams where guitars hang and the old piano leans, a melody plays and her heart sings along. Here in Nashville where music belongs. I'm getting the feels.
Recording and production.
Right, it's really going for it. Consider recording with Nashville musicians. Okay. We'll do that then. Okay, so, I mean, yeah, great. I mean, I'm not entirely sure of... It's a start, though, isn't it? It's a start. And always be massively conscious that these things are only starts. They're not going to... Like, don't... The temptation... It's really tempting, isn't it? Just to go... I mean, if I was a songwriting student, you know, bang out 20 songs, put some chords to it, job done. And maybe that's a process that actually might work for you, because actually you start to sort of think, oh, you know, maybe it's the sounds that I like rather than the actual words. But it's all about putting it into your... I mean, I'm not telling you today how this should work for you. I'm just telling you that this is how it works for me. So I use these tools in this way to sort of start generating ideas. Should we go back to Discord and have a look at what we got? Yeah, it's not the blazing sun, is it? It really likes Nashville in these colours, doesn't it? Isn't that interesting? It's kind of... Yeah. I mean, that's obviously the Nashville skyline. I like this one, though. I'm a big fan of that. Oh, I didn't realise there was a river. See, I'm learning some geography as well, so that's good. Apparently there's a river in Nashville. Should we upscale 3?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Right, so we need some characters. Hello.
A cowboy.
Now, the slightly annoying thing is that in ChatGPT we can continue a conversation with our instance, and it will know what we've said before. So we actually start slightly training it. So it now knows. So for instance, if I went back to GPT-4 and said, I need some characters, some of whom are cowboys, and I'm going to write obs. So it's going to start generating some of those characters. But, we can do similar thing with Midjourney and some of the other big ones like Dolly and so on. Not in this instance though. So we're going to have to make sure we frame the question correctly. Otherwise, we'll end up in some weird territory. Old timer Tom, retired cowboy and a regular customer, wise, friendly, and a bit of stuff. You'd want to chat with old timer Tom, wouldn't you? What I might do is actually an experiment. Let's take old timer Tom. I don't know. Let's take old timer Tom. Control C, and let's pop them into a. Let's imagine them. Control V, and we'll write pixel art at the end, just so it knows what we're talking about. Right, let's let that bake, and then let's go back to GPT-4. We've got loads. We've got Jackson Jack Wild. He's a songwriter with a mysterious past. He's mysterious, brooding, and deeply artistic. I love how that's like, deeply artistic and mysterious and brooding apparently goes together. Not like really happy and chilled, but deeply artistic as well. So it's cliche. It's riven with cliche, right? This is the other thing to massively bear in mind. This is massively, cliche. But you get little rodeo Ronnie Jenkins, cowboy hat wearing, boot sporting shop assistant. There you go. So we've got a shop assistant. Local country band lead singer. There we go. So Maggie Mustang McConnell, radio champion turned guitar enthusiast. I like her. Yeah, and it keeps going. It's just going to keep going. All right, fair enough. We'll just let it chug away. So it's baked. Here we go. Look at that guy.
I like
It's very
Who do we like?
I kind of like top right.
It looks
This guy.
Yeah.
2 and 3 are my favourites.
Me too.
The one at the
2 and 3.
So
He looks like Linus, doesn't he? The character in Stardew Valley. So we can go some variants on this. Variant 3. We like 3. He sort of reminds me of the guy in the Big Lebowski at the bar. It's Sam Elliott, isn't it? King of the Cowboys images. Yeah, look.
I love him.
Yeah. Look, there's even a pixel version of him. Yeah. Okay. So we can actually, what we could do is we can actually take that image and start merging it with our current images if we wanted to. So we could take and make him look more like Sam Elliott. So, I mean, we've come pretty far. I mean, we've only been going, what, I don't know, half an hour. I don't want to labour the point, but we've done quite a lot of work in quite a short amount of time. We've got a theme song. I don't know how good it is. We have to go and put some chords to it. We've got a setting that's really nice. We've got an art style that's really developing, though I would want to do a lot more work on that. We've got some characters, and I mean, these are quite nice, actually. Yeah, there's a bit of C6 Steve. You know C6 Steve, that guy? Kind of, there's a vibe there as well. So we've started to develop some characters as well. I love this game. I think the cozy game set in Nashville is actually really sound. And actually, we haven't used anything directly from that the AI has produced so far. We've taken pieces of it, and we can take those away. And we can start using those. And I think that that's the power of this technology right now, in terms of your creative practice. Now, you know, so for instance, I know you're a makeup student, right? Yes. I don't know, I've never tried, but we can maybe imagine, you know, so we could go photographic, we could go makeup for cozy game. I don't know, now that's set in Nashville. I don't know how it's going to respond to this, but you never know. Who knows, right? We'll let that bake and we'll see what happens. But, you know, I think the possibility of this in terms of any visual media and the combination of the visual media with the GPT as well, where you can start feeding one thing into another, start some really interesting conversations. And they are sort of conversations. But like any good conversation, it should be sparking ideas outside of, and all reacting against what's happening. So I know for a fact that a deal was signed not so long ago by a major games developer off the back of some very sophisticated, I have to say, it's a multi like $100 million deal off the back of some very sophisticated use of AI for concept art, and that's all they had. They went in, they had some people that were very, very good at generating AI art. They went through this process and they signed a $100 million deal, you know, for a game with a major publisher. I know that for a fact. They have no intention of using the AI stuff that they've made in that deal, but they used it to land. It wasn't the AI art that got them the deal. It was their reputation as developers and you know and all that stuff. But that's what do we think?
Cute. Yeah.
It's nice.
That's really nice.
Really nice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of like how it might affect your practice.
I don't actually know if we're allowed to use this type of. Like,
Well, I'm not suggesting that you then copy and paste that and go, this is what I made.
No,
but
not even to like. I don't know if I can
well, that's the
use it to
interesting
even-
point is you don't
yeah.
know, do you? So actually,
it's a bit
there
of
has
a
to be
grey
some.
area for us.
Does have to be some context.
Yeah.
For
I mean,
its
if I was allowed to just say this is like what I've researched using this.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing there is, yeah, like if you just presented that out of the blue, like there's the work and here's the prompts I use.
Not as my.
Yeah, not if on a piece. That would be that would be immoral no matter what. If you just had a Google search, right?
Yeah.
But if you could show your prompt craft, you could show how the prompts had got to that point.
Yeah.
You could show why you developed those prompts. Perhaps this would be a conversation you exactly with a tutor. I'm not saying this, but you could start to say, well, look, I was looking for, you know, kind of country or western styles. I was looking for.
Because sometimes you can't quite get the exact makeup look that you're looking
Yeah.
for, or the quiet, I don't know, the scar that you're looking for,
Yeah.
or you know, stuff like that. So it would be helpful.
Yeah, and I think it's technology. And the thing is, like, I don't know if that image actually exists somewhere. It probably doesn't. It's obviously a combination of many different.
You could
kinds
probably
of
put it through like Google Lens or something and try and
try and reverse engineer it. You probably could, yeah. And that's good. That'd be a good practice to do. But at least that sparks an idea suddenly, like that orange eye and the sort of the freckles and all that sort of like. Well, that's an idea there, that you can take some element of that and use it, because you're not presenting that image as your final piece of work. Right? You would go away and hopefully you would.
That would be research, but
Yeah,
I
that
don't
would
know
be
if
research.
we're allowed to use any
Yeah.
AI whatsoever.
Yeah, okay.
But it's
But obviously,
something
you would
that
have to
we
go away and
look into,
apply
yeah.
the makeup in
Yeah,
that way.
yeah.
Because it wouldn't actually end up looking like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a different person, and you use the style. But
Yeah.
yeah, so and obviously, actually, interestingly, if we look at what OpenAI, like literally as we opened OpenAI, that they've got this. They've got Sora, which is the same process that we've just used for Midjourney, but for moving images. And that's kind of terrifying in a way, but kind of exciting as well. So, I'll leave. Yeah. So this is I can't remember when a technology has hit the popular imagination as much as this, but actually also delivered. Like I think blockchain and NFTs and all that sort of stuff. That appeared and everybody was like, ooh, and then everybody saw that it was like a giant Ponzi scheme or whatever, or the whole crypto thing was kind of, but this feels like it's step change, and it'd be really interesting to see what you guys do.